All right, so I'm going to start back the crystal exercise. We'll take 15 minutes and see if we can finish this one. Okay. So right now we are at the point. If I click this, it says the image has been clicked. All right. So the next part, what do I have to do? I have to. Eventually, the end goal was that if you click, number comes up saying that whatever the number is behind it. Okay. So we need to. We'll start with putting some number behind it, so the number comes up. Okay. So var, I'm going to create a counter variable. Okay, what I'm trying to do is every time you click an image, this variable gets updated. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 keeps going down. Okay, so let's go ahead and how do I increment this counter? Every time the click happens, I can do counter is equal to counter plus 1. All right, it's going to add this and save it back. The shorter form for the same thing is counter plus equal to 1. This is same as this one. Okay, this is just a short form. Plus plus works the same, yes. Okay. And then let's say this is when the image is clicked. Let's just add counter. So now it's going to keep increasing. So, oh, that didn't work. Then I'm using alert like console log plus counter. So it says clicked 1. Let me add a space. So clicked once, clicked twice, 3, 4, keeps going. Okay. So now I'm getting a number every time I click this crystal image. All right. Let me see what else. So when I click, the number comes up. Now I want to show this number. All right. Let's do this one. So I have this number on the top. All right. Do I want to add that number yet? That's what I'm trying to think. Okay, we'll add that later on. So just like this, this is the number I want to reach, right? You put in a number and then when I click, I want to reach that number. So before I put it in H1 or anything, I'm going to create a variable called target number. Let's suppose my target number is 5. Okay, I want to keep increasing this, and when I get to 5, I want to output saying you win or lose. Right now it's just simple. I just want to have that logic over here. Okay, so I create a target number, and how do I check if the number has been reached? For if, exactly. So I do a if statement. All right, so I keep clicking and I put a if saying if counter is equal to my target number. Try catch target number. Okay, let's copy this. Let me just say you win. Okay, so I have a target number. Every time it clicks, it keeps updating until it reaches 5. It's going to say you win. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you win. Okay, we're kind of building up to that. All right, I can add a else also. So what happens if I don't reach this counter? Let's say else if my counter goes above. Well, if it is less, then I still have chances, right? Yeah. Huh? Yeah, I do nothing because I still have more chances. Yeah. As if it becomes greater, then that's when I would say that you lose. Alert. Um, okay. Now, just looking at this code, will this work? Will you ever see? Right? Well, why does it work? Because it doesn't reset it. I'm still in this code. I'm stuck over here. Yes. You can use switch. Yeah. Since we have covered more if else, and it's kind of easier to look at it. But yeah, you can. Well, how would you use a switch over here? Yeah. Switch. Yeah. Switch is mostly for if you have a case, and then you're just looking for that value, and then kind of exits out. In this case, I'm trying to compare two values. Yeah. We can make it work with switch, but switch not really appropriate over here. Might work. You can do a switch and counter. Okay. So everybody good until now? We have a if statement now, and I see my counters are good. Put in over there, and it checks it. Okay. So yes, man. Well, you tell me what will happen if it is outside. So this logic, why is this logic relevant over here? Because I'm saying every time I click the button, I want something to happen, and this is the logic I want to happen. If I move this outside, right outside the click, this will never be called, right? Because this runs when it is ready, and then it stops over here. This will only run when the click happens. So jQuery is kind of listening for that click. As soon as it listens it goes and processes this piece of code. Okay, so it won't work if it is outside. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and add this this H1. So go back over here. So I have my image. Let's add H1. I'm saying it says number to guess. Okay. Okay. Now I want to put this number. What is this number? This is my target number, right? This is the number that shows up over there. So I want to take this out and put it over there. So I have to do it through jQuery. Okay. Now, if I give this ID over here, right? I say h1 ID is equal to something, right? I can get this h1 back in jQuery. Okay. And then I can use a .text one and then change it to whatever target number is there. Okay. The only problem with that is if I do .text is going to replace this whole thing, right? Because what does .text do? It goes, finds this element and replaces whatever text you're trying to use, right? You can do is you can do a plus, you can concatenate over there in jQuery and keep adding number to guess every time. So that will also work. But the other easier one would be if I can add another HTML element between this to put that number. Like a span. Okay, and this give this span an ID and just keep replacing, find the span and keep changing the target number. All right, let's see what I mean is, and give it an ID. Say number to guess. Okay, so this is span. This is going to be inline, and then I can go back over here and find that span and add the target number over there. Okay. All right. Now, where do I put the adding of the target? Do I put it inside the on click or do I do it outside? What do you think, man? Outside, right? It doesn't matter. I don't care about if it's clicked then the number shows. I want that number to always show up. Okay. Let's see. So let's find that, and this was called. It's an ID. So hash number to guess. Okay, and then use the text function, and set the target number. There it is. Okay. So I set the target number so that it shows up on the screen, and I have my kind of logic working. You see, it's the main logic is almost there. What we were trying to do is that you click, a number comes up, you kind of try to guess. When you reach that counter number, it says you win or you lose, right? So like 70% of the logic that was there is already. Now we just have to add few more images and assign each one a different number, right? When I have more than one, what data type can I use to assign each one? We saw in the fridge, it was an array. Yes. What? No? No? Sure? Okay. So we can use an array. That's a quick fix, and then you can assign the numbers in the array to each one. Right? Let's start with 2 first. So let's go ahead and create a number array. And where do I create this array? It's going to reside kind of, what should be in the click, or should it be outside? Outside, right? I don't need to keep recreating it every time it does it. So let me combine these. Okay. Let's create an array called numbers. Okay. Let's start with 2. So I have, give some small numbers. Let's make it a little bit bigger so that it kind of seems more closer to what we are trying to do. If I say this 50, make it 10. All right, and then we can give this 10 and 11, let's say. Okay, now I haven't coded this part out, but from the logic, what I'm trying to do is I'm going to assign 10 to one image, 11 to another one. So if you keep clicking 10, 10, 10, and you reach 50, that's a win. If you keep clicking this or this, right, you will never reach 50. So that's a lose case and a win case. So I'm shortening it right now, and then we can expand it to 4 images. All right, we did for 1. Now we are going into the second one. All right. Now how do I assign these numbers to the images? Even before that, my counter. Now I want to take this number and keep adding to my counter. Right now I have a hard-coded 10 over here. So what's going to happen? It's going to always give me 10. I want one of these to be picked up, right? Okay, now I want one of these to be picked up at randomly. Right? When your code starts, it picks anyone that it likes and then keeps incrementing those. All right. So let me show you what I mean. So I said pick one of these randomly. I don't want this to be hard-coded. Well, randomly. I want to pick one of these.
Oh, randomly.
Right? So mat.random view, right? So we'll say this, and this is the number that is going to be in my counter. It's going to keep adding those. So my array is numbers. Okay, so I'm going to do a random on the index. So this is index 0 or 1. So I can use mat.random number to generate 0 or 1. That's what I want. Okay, either it is this index or this index. I cannot put the values, but I can generate a random number between 0 and 1. And why am I doing it? If it says 0, then I pick this one. If it says 1, I pick this one. All right. So it's going to be a shorter mat.random. Oops. So what is the mat.floor and then mat.random. Okay. Is this good enough? Well, there's no. Yeah, you can do. What was that? Times dot. What was the last one? Numbers dot length. So the length is 2. Okay. So what will happen now? Will I get 0 and 1, or will I get something else? So I want the numbers only to be between 0 and 1. Either 0 or 1. Does this work? Okay. Let's make sure. Let's do this. How do we test it out? So we can console log increment over here to make sure that our logic is working. Increment. Okay. Okay. Did I miss a semicolon?
After the number, the variable number.
Oh, sorry. So I get 10, 10. Is it still working? What are the chances that I only get a 10? So you see there's still not working, and this is how you test it out. And so if there's something wrong, it only gives me 0. It's always giving me 0. It's not giving me a 1. Inside what? Inside the what? Oh, no.
Really generating random number 1.
Right. Yeah. So right. Yeah. So what Matt said is right, that I'm only generating when this kicks in. That's why I always see the same one. I'm logging the same one. So let's go ahead and move this inside. Just for testing, we don't need it. I want to make sure that this is generating the 2 numbers. So this will keep generating new numbers. 10, 11, 10. Okay. All right. So I've tested it out. I've made sure that this is working. So I'm going to take this out. Okay. I'm going to keep this so that I know which number came up. All right. So instead of 10, what do I need to do now over here? Change it to increment. Why? 10 I was doing for one case. Now I have 2 cases. Right? If it comes 11, I want to keep it increasing by 11. If you select 10, I want to keep increasing by 10. Okay? You see how I'm going through? I hard-coded the things first. Then I'm changing it to more variable stuff. Then we have 4 more. We can add 4 more conditions, and this will still work. Yes, George. Okay, so what happens in line number 8? 10 or 11. Okay, at this point, you will get, let's suppose you get 10, right? So is your question that how do we know if it will be 10 or 11?
Let's say you have like 2 cases of the first one, right?
Yeah.
Let's say you want the first one to be
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The second one to be 10. Right. Like here, it seems like it's
Right. So the question is, if I have 2 pictures, how do I differentiate it? This code doesn't differentiate right now. We are building towards it. Right now we just have 1 picture. I'm writing the code if there are 2 pictures, and then I'm going to add the second one, and then we'll see. Huh? And if you had to take a guess, how would you differentiate 2 pictures? We did the fridge code, right? We were using the data attributes and all those stuff to differentiate. That's what it's going to be, something similar. All right. All right. So let's see. So I'm here. Let's go ahead and add those pictures now. So if I want to add these pictures more than one, I don't need this over here, right? Because I'm going to generate this in my jQuery now. Okay, I want these pictures to be generated using jQuery dynamic so that I don't have to keep hard coding like 4 or 5 images. Okay, so before I do this, let's add a div tag, add a ID and call it crystals. Why do I need this? Since once I take this code out, I want this code to be inserted from jQuery. I want it to be inserted somewhere in a div, right? So I'm going to put a div here and then tell jQuery to insert my images inside this div. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead. What was that? Oh, I missed that. Sorry. Thank you. Oh, that's better. Okay. So now I'm going to create multiple images. Okay. I don't want to do it on click because I want to do it before any of these things happen. I'm going to generate more than one images. So how many do I generate? 2 right now because my array has 2. I want one to be assigned to one and the second one to be assigned to the second one. All right. So how do I do this? I start with a for loop, same as fridge example. My array is numbers. Okay. And then it's the same jQuery code that we have been seeing. All right. So let's create an image tag. So I'm going to say image crystal is equal to dollar and create the same image tag. Okay. I need to add a class to it. Why do I need to add a class? What was that? Right, exactly. So, well, not this. This is, I'm trying to add this. Oops. Oh no. Oh, I lost my image code. So this is the, if I can find this. Copied the wrong one. So I'm trying to get back to my image hard coded in my HTML. This is what I'm trying to create now. So you see, I had this, right? Yeah. So I need this class. So let's go ahead and add this class. So that the image is 300 by 300, or I think I had 200 by 200. Okay, the next thing, what do I need? E. Okay. Thank you. Image crystal dot, what am I missing? The source. So let's add an attribute, call it source. Okay. You can add. Change it to alt. Okay. So I added these attributes that I had over there. Remove this. What's the last thing I'm missing here? If I want to show it on the screen? Appended. Appended to which div? The div that I created? This one. So let's copy this. This is an ID, so I'm going to do a hash. So hashtag crystals dot append image crystal. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at this. Ooh, look at this. Ah, that's better. Okay. So there are 2, but these are. Let's add a margin right. Margin right. Let's add change x. Ah, that's better. Okay. So I have 2 images. George, this is your answer. This is how you generate the 2 images. Okay. Now, how do we identify? How do we differentiate between these 2? Remember the data attribute? I'm going to assign one value to one and then the second one to the second one. Since I'm in the same loop, It's image crystal dot attribute. Okay, I'm going to call it data dash crystal crystal value. Okay, what's going to be the value for this one? I'm already in this array, so numbers I. So it's going to run this 2 times. All right, it's going to create one image. It's going to assign the first number 10 to it. It's going to run the second time. It's going to assign 11 to it. And that's how you know. Same as the fridge example. Same as the previous Captain Planet. Well, not Captain Planet. The number checker. They have the same things over here. All right. So let's verify if it is working. Let's look at the elements. And you see the value over there, 10 and 11. Okay, so that's how you assign. Now, can we increase this to 4? We totally can. So if I can make it 10, we had 5, 3, and 7. Okay, do I need to do any more changes? Absolutely not. And there I have 4 images with 4 values. See? Same what? What do you think? See, look at this. 5, 3, 7, all of them have different numbers. Right? So I started with started with variables, alerts, adding those stuff. Then I did it for 2. Once you can do it for 1, then you do it for 2, you can do it for any number of elements. Okay. Now what do I have? So this part is, I think this is complete. I don't need this for loop anymore. So I'm going to minimize this. We come back over here to our logic. So this kind of changes. Now I'm clicking, I'm getting more. The first thing I want to do is get that crystal value, right? If I click this one, I want to get the one that is clicked, right? So this was the this attribute that we saw from the fridge example. All right. Let's go ahead and get that. So let's say var crystal value is equal to it was this, right? Dot attribute. Which attribute am I looking for? What did I say that was? Data dash crystal value? Okay. So it was data dash crystal dash value. Is this what I said? Okay. So let's make sure this is working. And output crystal. Okay, well, it doesn't tell me much, so let me say crystal value. Okay, 10. This should say 5. This should say 3. This should say 7. Okay. So this is how you get the value back. Now you just have to increment it, check it, and keep adding this. We already have the logic at the bottom, but you can keep. Now, what is this going to return? The data type for crystal value. What is the data type for crystal value? What is it? How do we I don't know what the value. How do we check it? What was that? Type of. I hear type of. Excellent. Okay. Easy part is, instead of guessing, just check what the type is. It's a string. Right? Again, easy part. I'm trying to guess, but this is easier. This is type of and get it and find it out. So it's a string. So I can increment it using the string type, right? Because I want this as a number. Remember the parse int. So you can say var crystal val number. And just do parse int. And then as in crystal value. All right. Let's console log this time, and let's see what the value is now. So you see, change it to number. Okay, and why did I change it to number? Because I'm going to update this, and I keep track of the um, numbers that are being added. I don't need these increment anymore because I'm going to use this crystal value number, right? That's the number. That was a hard-coded number, so that's why I kept it over there. But my increment is basically the value that has been clicked now. 10, 5, 3, 7. I want to keep this increasing, and then when you read the target number, it says win or lose. Okay? Yes.
When you do an attribute like that, is it always going to come out as a string?
Yes, it's always going to come out as a string. That's why I did a type of to show you guys that what it comes out as. By default, it will always come out as a string.
You always have to use the parse in.
Parse int if you want integer. There's a parse float if you want a decimal. What parse int will do? It will give you a whole number. So you can use a parse float if you need a decimal number. Okay?
So the crystal value is a string because of the data crystal value.
Yeah. Whatever it stores, it always stores as a string. And it's kind of easier if you look at the logic. It's easier because you can store a number, float, string, anything. So by default, they just put it as a string. Because right now, in our case, it's a number, but it doesn't have to be number. In fridge example, we had a string, right? We had A, B, C. So you cannot put that as a number. So by default, that's why they put everything as a string. You get it out, you parse it, and it's easier to go through. Yes, Matt.
So if you can have the data attribute as an option, if you just do another array, keep track of values.
If I have a option, say that again. I didn't get it.
So we have that data attribute that we used before. But you said that's new, right?
Yeah.
So
HTML5.
you have to, like, have another array of values.
Yeah.
Corresponding.
Yeah, I see what. Yeah. Well, I'll make an object.
Or not.
Object. Yeah. Object. No errors, so that you can make it. Okay. Any other question? I'm going to leave this over here. The only logic is go back and see, change this, and should be pretty straightforward. It should be working. But the main logic would be this. Again, the solution we'll post it. We'll move on to next one. All right. Any questions? You guys can do it after this.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's what I want to hear. Right? Okay, it's literally, I think, like a 2-line or 3-line change. I'm going to leave that to you guys. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the more complex and more weird topic now. We're going to go back to JavaScript. It's going to be the end of the class, so I want to make sure you guys leave super stressed out and super complex. So I'm going to introduce the super complex part now.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So again, so we are going to discuss scoping. What is scope in JavaScript? And JavaScript is, you will hear me saying it's weird. So they have a different concept of scoping. I don't know who came up with it, but this is how scoping works in JavaScript. All right. So again, people ask, what's the use case? When you're writing more JavaScript, you run into issues if you don't know how the scope works. All right. So I'm going to show you what the scoping is in JavaScript. Show you some examples. They're not like a project or anything, just examples. And it is definitely one of the more favorite topics for interviews also, right? People are really interested to know about scoping. They will ask you these questions because this is one of the critical part. And if you don't understand the scoping part, it's kind of hard to do JavaScript. Okay. All right. So let's see. Let me show you the. So I have a HTML file, like a template. I added these two JS files, nothing crazy, and I'm going to write some code over here to show how the scoping works. All right, this is just the starter code. And so I touched on scoping a little bit earlier in the week. And what did we see? Let's suppose if I have this, if true, this means that this statement will always get executed. Okay, and if I have a var inside if var, okay, what will happen? I can totally access this from outside also. I can do inside. Okay, you see this shows up if I'm inside. Either though I declared this variable inside the if statement, I can access it from outside if. I can even access this from a different file. Look at this crazy part. I have a scope 2. I put in console log here, and it still shows up.
Do you have a starter file?
I have a no. This is my example. I said it's a. I just have an index HTML and I add it to JavaScript. It's global, yes. That's what it means when we talk about global. Everything that you declare in JavaScript on the top, even if it is inside an if statement or a for loop, it's always going to be global. It is visible from everywhere. So usually what happens in other languages, Java, C++, C Sharp, they are called block scope. What it means is this is a block. If you have curly brackets, we consider this as a block. So anything in other languages, if you declare any variable inside it, you can never access it outside from anywhere. Okay, but JavaScript is different. They don't have block scope. All right, that's the first technical point. When somebody asks, is JavaScript block scope? It's not block scope. Right? Instead, what they say is it's lexical scope. Lexical scope. Now, what this means is if I do this, function it was written in 11 days, so I guess they didn't have time for it. I don't know why they have that. Yeah. I'm not sure why they have that function. All right, let's create I'm going to create a function with no parameters. I'm going to create a variable called inside function. I am inside test function. Now this is interesting. If I do console log inside function, it gives me undefined. So when it comes to function, this is scope. Anything that you declare inside a function is not visible anywhere else other than this function. That's why it's not called block. If they called it block scope, then block it should be true for this, for loop, everything, but it's not true for that. So that's why they have a new name or a different name. It's called lexical scope. If there is a function involved, you cannot have that variable outside. Okay. Again, the global yes.
I was just saying, let's forget var.
Unless you forget var.
Yeah, right. Doesn't that make so?
Yeah, and you can var each thing with global variable.
Oh yeah. If I move this var on the top, yes. Well, I'll come to that. I know what you're saying. But right now I'm saying if you declare any variable inside the function, it's not going to be visible outside. Okay? It's not visible outside in a different file. It's not a global variable. Okay? And this is the, if you are not aware of this, I've run into this issue that I had a variable in this file, like global variable. And I was using it in a different file and my variables were getting overridden. If you don't understand the scope, that's what's going to happen. Yes.
So if you create a for loop,
Yes.
you can call it a command sign. This statement you can call it a command sign. But if you have a if statement with a function inside it,
Right.
you cannot call on that specific part of the function from the outside.
You can call that function. Why can you call that function? Because that function, if you declare a function inside it, you can still call it because this doesn't have a scope. Anything that goes in here is visible outside. So you can call that function, but anything that is inside the function, you cannot still access it. So what John is saying, if I have this function inside, right? I can call this function. I can totally do test function, right? And this will work. Why would this work? Because there's no block scope. Anything that is over here is visible outside also. But what is not visible, anything that is inside this function is not visible. So you still cannot access that.
Oh.
Oh, so you okay? I see what
Right?
you're saying.
So there's no yes.
The same you said when you place those
Inside an object. How do you access a function from inside an object? You say object dot something, right? So you can access that function. But the variables inside that, yes, it's a function, so you cannot access those.
Okay, so that's what I mean. Like, if you've got the function, you've got a variable inside a function.
Yeah, you cannot.
An object, you still.
Yeah, no. It doesn't matter if it's an object or if it is a different location or if statement for loop. As long as it is a function, the variable inside the function is not visible anywhere. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
So it's like for loop a function, so that I that you're using can get screwed up somewhere else.
Yeah, it will. Totally it will. Yeah. If I do a for loop and I can totally access the I from somewhere else too. Even though I'm declaring var over here, right?
That's why you have to go and do change.
Yes. So I have 4 over here, all right, and my loop exists out. What happened if I console log I over here? You see this 5? So what happened was that it reached 4 and the condition became, it reached 5 and the condition became false, it exited out. But this I is visible that even if I do it over here, it will show 5. Right? If I console log I over here in a different file, it will show 5. Alright, so there's no scope in a for loop also.
If you're resetting it every time you do it,
Yeah, if you have another for loop, yes, because you are redeclaring it. The only way to do this, to fix this, is if you redeclare. So I'm redeclaring, so it kind of resets, yes. But if you're not, if you're reusing, then it's kind of ends up in a problem. Okay? So there's the only scope is inside a function. All right, everybody good with it? Yes, sir.
So Daniel, the block scope is a global and the lexical is inside of a function?
Block scope again means this thing, these curly brackets. Anything that is in curly brackets, if it is not visible outside, we call that language block scope, such as Java and C#. JavaScript is not block scope because you see, if I have curly brackets, I can still access this outside. So it fails the block scope concept. Instead of what we call it is lexical scope. Lexical scope means yes, there is a scope, but it is inside the function. It's a different way to say it.
It's only available to that function.
Yes. It's not available outside. Okay? And if you have a global variable, then that is available inside the function. So inside if var, is this available over here? What do you guys think? Yes.
But it's not in a function.
Because it's not in a function, it's in an if statement, there's no loop, so it's a global variable. So I can access it inside a function. I can access global variables inside a function, and I can access its own variables. The variables that are declared inside the function are not accessible outside. Yes? Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay. Are we getting it?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, unfortunately, this was the easy part. Oh yeah. Oh, no, it doesn't stop over here. Are you serious? This is the easy part. All right. Now we are going to go and look at a nested function. So over here, you can have a function within a function. All right. Function, nested function. Remove all these. Okay. Now this is totally legal in JavaScript. You can have a function within a function. Okay. Now let's try this. If I do console log inside function, will this work?
Yes, it's inside.
It will totally work. Let's call this function to make sure. Okay, no errors. Let's go ahead and call this test function. So what is going on over here now? So I have a function within it. I'm accessing a variable that is outside, but is inside. It's inside the parent end. So I can totally access that. That's fine. Yeah. But what happens now? If I have a var inside nested function, I am inside nested function. No, I already hear no's. Come on, let me type this. Yes, you cannot access it outside this. Inside nested function. Okay, it will give you an error that is not defined. So what happened? Scope is here. So I declared a variable. Its scope just resides over here. You cannot access it outside. But this one, if you have a variable declared over here, your child functions have still visibility here. So it's like a box within a box. You have a box, then you have another box, then you have another box. This box can see this, right? But the outside box cannot see what's inside. This is its only visibility. But from inside, you can see everything. So that's how the lexical scoping works in JavaScript. It goes from inside and expands outside. When you call this function, this variable, it will look for a variable within its scope. If it finds it good, if it doesn't find, then it goes and looks up the scope above it. Finds it good. If it doesn't find, then it goes above, and above this is global variables. It's going to look at the global scope and try to find that variable. If it doesn't find, then it's an error. Yes.
So this global scope doesn't care where in the file you play the variable or literally where the file is.
It doesn't care. Yeah. Totally doesn't care. Weird, right? What is it? Yes. Yes, that's what it is. Yeah. But the parent cannot see the child's one. Okay? Okay. We good? Yes? Yes. Excellent. Alright. Let's still, I feel like it's still not complicated enough. Let's make it more complicated. Alright. So I'm going to return let's go ahead and comment this out. Here's the other thing you can do. Return nested function. What am I doing over here? Let me minimize. So just see that there's a definition I have declared. I have defined a function, all right, inside the bigger function, and then I'm returning that function. I can totally do that. Yeah, you return variables. You can return a nested function. To this function, this is kind of variable. Everything is within it, so you can actually return this whole thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
so it makes a difference if it's the main function versus like a nested function.
What is it?
So like if it's a nested function, it's still accessible as long as it's inside the
Yeah.
main function.
Yeah. Why? Because it is within this scope, so this function is visible. Now, is this function visible outside?
No.
Can I call this function like this? I cannot. Why I cannot do this? Because this function is within this scope and is not visible anywhere else. Right? That's why I cannot call that function. So what happened now? I have a function that kind of lost over here. I cannot call that function anymore. So the way that you do it is you return this nested function. Okay? And then you save it into a variable. So if I do this var test func var, and then I do test function, what is this test func var?
That's the ID for whatever is inside the test function block.
ID of whatever is test function block. Okay, again, so I have this function. I'm calling this function and assigning the return type to test func var. Let's do type of test function. See this?
You just made the nested function.
No.
Well, by using variables.
By using variables, yes. So what is happening over here? I'm returning, and what is the return type for this test func var? It is a function. Why is it a function? Because I'm returning a function over here. So can I do this after that? Test func var. I totally can. I can call this as a function and it will work. Confusing enough or not?
So, wait, you wouldn't have been able to access it if you hadn't returned it.
I will not. Yes, you're right. If I didn't return this, I can never access this function. Outside, I cannot access it outside this function. Right? The only way to access this is within the parent function, you return that function, and then you call that function. Yeah, you send it back instead. Yeah.
It made sense for me when I started thinking about things as folders. You know, so like the test function, it's all in one file.
Right.
Between the curly brackets.
Right.
Now, the only way to get that file or anything in it is to create a variable outside of it that calls that file first, and then you can use the But until you pull the file,
you cannot see
look
anything.
for the file, and it's like, no, it's not under that directory that you're in. You
Yep.
have to go into the directory.
Yeah. It's a similar thing what I was saying about the box thing. You cannot see the box from the inside box can see outside, but the outside box cannot see the inside box. Like what is inside it.
Right.
Okay? So this is the way that you can access this. Okay?
So as long as you return a function,
Right.
either nested or inside another function,
Yeah.
then you can go and call it.
Then you can call it, yeah. Then you can call this function. Again, it's not like globally calling or something, but I understand what you're trying to do. The way to call this nested function, you return it and then you go ahead and call that function.
You have to call it like immediately after, or can you call it?
No, whenever you want it. Yeah. Whenever you require it. Okay? Alright, let's look at the why not make it
There's a lot of times you don't want things accessible by the rest of the code sometimes.
alright, let's look at this example. Now we are going to look at objects. Somebody mentioned the objects part. Let me, I think Ford was mentioning. So I'm going to I'm going to copy these some properties.
So you objectify the cat.
Alright. Okay, so I have a cat object and I have some properties: name, color, age. Okay.
Size.
That's so old cat. I'm just putting random numbers. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead. I want to print. I want to print these variables for this cat. And how do I do this? Within, if I have a function inside my object. You can speak up, not at the same time. All right. What do I do? Name. Will this work? Scope. This just give me an error. I'm trying to see why it doesn't give me an error. Cat dot print info. We'll take the scope out. I have this added, this added. What am I missing? It should at least give me something. Let's test this out. Test if this is code is reaching here. Oh, it's coming here. It's putting out what? Oh, it's putting out a blank line. Oh, there it is. I see it. Okay. So is this not the right way? I heard people saying. So how do I do it, Ali? This. Oops. And there is Gus. Okay. All right. Now this is again too simple. So let's make it more complicated. So what if I have a function inside this? Nested function. This is a nested function. Okay. Now if I want to access the name over here, I should be able to do it like this, right? So I have a nested function, okay? And then I have, I'm trying to access it from within it. Let's go ahead and call this function. What is this? Nested function. I'm over here, okay? And it's kind of, it shows up a blank line. Everybody see this? So I did the same thing, but this time I have a nested function within this function in an object, and this one works. When I do this dot name, it doesn't work. It shows me it's blank line. So let's see what's happening over here versus so this is the first this, okay? I console log this out, so I have this property, name, everything is good. That's what I'm expecting, right? In an object when I try to do this. But when I console log this again over here, you see what happened? It's giving me a totally different object. So this is the window object. So the what happens over here is if you have a nested function and then use this inside a nested function inside an object, it loses focus. All right, that's what. Again, if you have an object within an object, you have a nested function. You have a function, right? And then you have a nested function. If you want to access any property, you say this dot name. This works. But if you try to do the same thing inside a nested function, that is inside an object function, it loses focus. It doesn't recognize this anymore. It takes you to the window, the global, this object. Yes, ma'am.
Back to that intro, I was gonna ask you what it's already out.
Right. So what it does is it refers to the outside this, global this, and global this is actually your window object. That's always the starting point. Okay. Um, Again, why does it, and it's not as relevant. The point over here is if you have a function within a function in an object, and if you try to access the same property, it's going to lose focus, and you won't be able to access. You lose that this uh, focus inside a nested function. Yes.
And then to refocus,
You can use cat dot. Yeah. Oh wait, so let's try it out. So you're saying see this?
damn it, finally used it.
Finally use it. All right. Again, this is I don't see a lot of use case. There might be cases you might need a nested function, but again, this is something that you guys need to do when we are learning JavaScript, how the scoping works. It's one of the favorite topics that people ask in interviews. That how does the well, you see how confusing this is. You need to have a really good understanding to see what is going on, and if you don't get it, then that's the kind of make or break question that they ask. All right.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
I'm sorry. So in the console log, is it if you wanted to get more of the cat information, you have to do a separate console log for each something dot name, something dot age, cat dot age, and all that. Is there what happens if you go like cat dot name, comma, cat dot age, and so on?
Let's see if I understand. So you're saying this,
Yeah. So,
this dot color.
Yeah. So like.
Yeah, that works. It's the
Okay, so it just puts it on the same line instead of moving the line down.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sorry to sidetrack. there.
Oh no. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Right. They might ask you, okay, do you know is block scope true in JavaScript, or how does the scoping work in JavaScript, or what is lexical scoping, or what when you have this visibility of these variables, this concept, okay, this visibility, right? This is called closure. So I have this variable. This is only visible here. This variable is visible here and inside this function, right? Right. So this concept is called closure. So they will ask you in JavaScript, what is closure? What is lexical scoping? Closure is the visibility of the variables of the child functions. They can see the variables of their parent, but the parent cannot see their child variables. Yes.
Is this used that much?
That's what I was saying. There might not, you might not run into a use case where you would be using this, but if your web page is more complicated, you have more complex logic, there might be. But for a simple web page, you might not run into this issue. But again, it's a popular. They love asking this question. Closure, lexical scoping, block scope versus lexical scope. The object one.
Is it more of a thing that you need to know about just so that you don't accidentally
Yes.
break your program?
Right.
You can't,
Yes.
You can't figure out why you can't use the function?
Yep. And that is what it is.
I learned this first, and then have bumped it so many.
Right. That's why we want you to break and then come back and
It's not like a functionality you use, it's just a
Well,
bug.
so lexical scope is just what you're describing, how sometimes, depending on where they are within the function, you can access it. Okay, just want to make sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Closure just means
Yeah, the concept is called closure, and closure means that the variables are visible. The parent to the parent. Oh, the parent cannot see the child ones, but the child can see the parent ones. Kind of worded nicely. Better explained with an example. And lexical scoping is a higher concept that lexical scoping versus what I said, block scope. Right? In other languages, they have block scope, but when it comes to functions, JavaScript calls it lexical scoping.
So just in relation to the parent, depending on how the function is set up.
Right, how the function is set up. Yep. Okay.
Like somebody asked, why would you want things to be not global? I think isn't that just so like just in case you have you use something somewhere else?
Exactly. Yeah. I don't want
It's
to.
like
Yeah.
you don't want it. To
I don't
go
want
to
global
that,
scope.
you get-
Yeah. If I'm over here in this file, especially I'm coming from a different programming language, I don't expect this to be available everywhere, but that's how it is. Yeah. Right now we are using just one JavaScript file, so we don't run into those issues. But when you have multiple ones, this is going to help you. Yes. Again, it depends on your use. Yeah, generally, generally global means that I want it available over here, but I don't want this to be outside anywhere else, right? So I want it global to be in this file, but not anywhere else. But that's not the option, but default option that we are seeing. If you declare on the top, it's all fair game for any file accessing it. Yes.
Is there a way to declare the scope of the variable when you're creating it?
There's not. Yeah, you cannot declare a scope of the variable. Yes. Anybody else?
Document.ready. That's a function, right?
Yeah, that's a function. That's what.
So everything within that is within
Yeah.
the function.
Yeah. So if you start with document.ready, ready as Reggie is saying, but that's jQuery in JavaScript. Now, if you have to think about it, how would you do it in JavaScript? Document.ready, it's a function, and everything you put inside a function is local scope.
Alright.
How about you create a big function and put everything inside the function? No, and that is the solution. It's called this kind of little bit more. Look this up. The hack is called IFFE. IIFFE.
That's the non-jQuery. It's just
Yeah, non-jQuery. This is the JavaScript hack. So we saw the scope. What the hack is that you create a big function, and you create that function. Keep all your code inside that function. At the end, you call that function. So you immediately invoke functional expression. Look it up. It's kind of high level, but IFFE, IIFE, in immediately invoked function expression.
Oh no, it sounds good.
Yeah, it is IFFE. Yeah, and that's kind of hack, but again, it's kind of a little bit out of scope for this class. But I like to mention it. I've had people who kind of guessed, and somebody said, "Why don't we just put it in a big function?" I was like, "Yes, and that is the solution. And that's how you do it. You put it in a big function if you don't want any global variables." But you probably won't be working like that in this one. Yes.
So one more time, just to restate. Closure. Closure means.
I said just nod and say you got it. Okay, go ahead. Closure.
I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it.
Yeah.
Closure means that the parent, that the child is available to the parent, but the child function.
It's
the
opposite.
function of the parent are not available to the child.
Yes. But not the function, the variables.
The variable.
Yeah. Whatever the code, it's variable right now. But yeah, if I have another function over here, then yeah, what variable function that are in the parent are visible to the child. But anything that is in the child, let's generalize. Any code that you put in these child functions is not visible outside.
Stop.
So when you create a variable for the function.
Yeah.
Parent can't get
So you had it opposite, yeah. So again. Why is it? It looks from JavaScript works from inside out.
There we go.
It works from inside out. Alright? Again, think of this box. A box within a box within a box. This box can see everything, but the outside box can only see that there's one box inside. Alright, let's Alright, let's this is just exercise. We'll do it quickly. Take a look at this and let's do this together. So what's going on? Let's start with lines number 15 to 21. So we have to guess what's going to be the output. Alright, so I create a variable A, create a function, and I'm calling it within the function. I'm calling this one function. So what's going to be the output? So it says 1. Okay, everybody get that? Alright, let's go to the second one. I have a function within two top. Within that function, I have another function, and then I'm calling the child function over here, alright, in this body. Stops over here. Line number 35. What's going to be the output? This. Why would I do this? This is not an object. This is only valid if you're using an object. This is just a function, and I have a nested function. I'm calling this function 2, which is over here, okay, inside this one. Outside, I don't have access to this, right? And I call this one, which is this. So what's going to happen? What would be the output? 2 what? 2a. Yep. So it's a 2 and 1. And what a is actually what? Still 1, right? Okay, everybody good? Alright, let's look at the third one. What is going on from line number 39 to 47? I have a variable a. I am redeclaring it. Okay? I already have one on the top, but I'm redeclaring it over here. So a, whatever the value was on the top, kind of disappears, right? Because I kind of recreated it. So a is 5. Function, I come inside it. I'm redeclaring a. Okay? Again. And then I call this. What is going to happen? 3. Do you guys understand why 3? Because yeah, we reassigned it. The visibility of this kind of goes away. It comes here. It goes from inside out. So it's going to look for a within this first. If it finds it, everything is good. It stops. If it doesn't find a over here, then it's going to go look one above. Okay.
Why would you print the read string to?
Why will it not print what?
The string THR.
Oh, it did, right?
I thought it did.
Yeah.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, last one. 4. Line number 51 to 70. This is a tricky one, so take a few minutes and understand. So this is my scope of first, and then I'm calling first. So start from here. What am I doing? I'm calling first, and this is my first function. Okay. I come in here. Then I have second. I'm not going to worry about second because I'm defining, right? I'm not calling anything right now. Until 54, it's a definition. It doesn't do anything. It defines it and keeps it in memory. Until I call it, then this becomes relevant, right? We understand that? We declare a function, but it becomes relevant when you call that function. Okay? So it comes here. Okay, define. Okay, now this is the calling part. It's going to call this function. It's going to stop here and okay, so now it goes inside here. First line, okay, redeclares. Second line, definition of a function. I don't care right now because I'm not calling it. I come here, now it becomes relevant. Now I need to look at 3. So this is the more important, okay, because the bug kind of stops over here. So what is going to be the output? 4 is going to say what? Plus. Why would it plus?
4, 3.
Right? There's no addition, so there's no plus. So it says 4 and 3. You get it? Alright, but I still have one alert left. What's going to happen? Okay, this is good. Right? It comes out. I did this part. Then it comes out here. I did this part. I did this part. And then it comes over here. What is going to be here?
Oh, I see. That's still a click away.
Right? Why? Because this is still in scope, so it kind of stops over here.
5
It says 5. 6? Why would it say 6? There's no 6 at all. Let's stop throwing random numbers around. There's a proper logic. Oh, okay. There is good logic behind every one of these things, okay? Alright, so this was the scoping part, and that's all for today. We have 1 minute left. There's a challenge exercise for those of you who are sitting and doing something. It's called color something. Let me see if I can bring that up. Oh, I don't have it. Is there a exercise? Challenge exercise? Color one? Yeah. So there's a challenge exercise. Look at it if you want to try it. But definitely, I'll post a solution later on. All right. Have a good rest of the weekend. I'll see you guys Tuesday.